There's been so much attention. This Sam Bankman-Fried, his new nickname is Sam Bankman-Fraud, but he's been doing all these interviews and all this stuff, which is part of the con. I mean, if you know how, well, of course you do, how these things collapse, how they cascade, you build up a balance sheet and all of your assets are illiquid coins, you print it yourself, and your liabilities are real money to real people. That's not going to last. But whether they imagined it was okay or they were just outright crooks and didn't care, it doesn't matter because you're supposed to know better. You can't be in that business and do what they did and not take responsibility for it. But he's making a little tour, apology tour, whatever you want to call it. Stephanopoulos and Andrew Sorkin and all these people, and he's saying, yeah, you're right. We really did screw. We effed this up with the risk management. We should have thought. I was like, no, you're a crook. You're a fraud. The first thing that strikes me about the whole crypto world, there is no wealth creation. It's just the best metaphor I've been able to come up with. They're casino chips. You go in the casino, put your money down the roulette table. Croupier gives you a pile of chips. You gamble them. You might win. You might lose. But when you're done, those chips aren't, all you can do is take them to the cashier and get your money out. You can't take them out on the street and spend them. In other words, it's a token inside a closed environment that can be, you can make or lose money, I'll grant that, but it's not good for anything else. So I started out with kind of this crypto is a token that only has any value in the crypto world. Now, what happens when you want to get out of crypto world? You say, I'm ready to cash in my chips. I'm ready to go to the cashier. Here are my tokens. Give me my dollars. Well, Sam Bankman-Fried's answer was, we're closing the cashier window. The other thing that strikes me about this, and this has been fascinating, okay, the coins themselves, Bitcoin, whatever, I think I have a pretty good handle on those at this point. But I watched this infrastructure be built, and it basically mimicked the Wall Street infrastructure. It wasn't just coins after a while. It's like, well, we need custodians, we need exchanges, we need technicians got involved. They start doing, these candlestick charts and 200-day moving average, and I know all that from Wall Street. Right? I've been doing that for 40 years. But I'm like, wait a second, you're acting like the research department of Goldman Sachs, thinking about like Tesla, for example. You may love it, you may hate it. That's a choice. But they make real cars. There's a car there. And it doesn't have to be tangible. It can be intangible. It can be an insurance company. That's an intangible product. But you get real insurance and you make a claim, they pay you. So the Wall Street infrastructure, technical or fundamental, trading, exchange, custody, all that, exists around some real stuff. Again, tangible or intangible. Here you've mimicked the infrastructure, but to quote Gertrude Stein, there's no there. A lot of the money that's been made in crypto world is not, I bought a token and it went up. It's no, I own an exchange, and Sequoia or somebody gives me a $25 billion valuation. I'm a 90% stockholder. I must be worth whatever the 20 billion plus. And that's all crumbling. What we both know about how dynamics, complex systems collapse is there's a cascading effect. The water does not go back up the waterfall. It just keeps cascading down. So we've seen, Genesis is reported, considering bankruptcy. They haven't filed yet. There were other exchanges that have filed for bankruptcy. It turns out that some of these exchanges, they had all these coins, and they put it in, with FTX in custody. FTX was their custodian. It's like, well, I got some. I'll deposit it with FTX. Of course, they're not getting it back, so now I can't pay my people. I'm going bust. So we're seeing these cascading failures in crypto world. Sounds like the kind of thing H.L. Mencken would have said back in the day, the sage of Baltimore. The other thing about FTX, we were talking about easy money and money printing and easy credit, et cetera, as a way of inflating all these balance sheets and probably these asset liability arrangements. FTX took it to the next level. They said, well, we don't need to borrow the money, we'll just steal it. I mean, all the years I was on Wall Street, and I was involved in a number of aspects, but I was, most of the firms I was general counsel and chief compliance officer. And I've read the rule books of all the exchanges. You got to be a geek to do that, but I have read them. Then there are all kinds of frauds, all kinds of schemes, and we both have seen them all. But the one unforgivable sin, the one thing you never do, is take customer money. The customer money, the house account and the customer money are just kept separate. There's a sky-high wall, and you never dip into the customer money. That was like They told me in Chicago back, they said, you'll be run out of Chicago, your name will be mud, you'll never be back in this business again. And I already knew that, but it's like hearing it from like old bulldogs like Roger Russ, who was head of the Chicago Board of Trade back in the day. they just put the fear of God in you, and rightly so. And that's what Corzine did, in MF Global. He kind of, government,
that happened.
Whatever, they kind of smoothed it over. But that's exactly what happened here. So yeah, he's doing the apology tour, and boy did we screw up. I guess you have to admit that. But that's part of the con. First thing that revelation came out is like, why? Okay, FTX is a disaster. The war in Ukraine is a tragedy and a global economic disaster, getting worse. How the heck does FTX get tied up in Ukraine? But they were. That's been demonstrated. That's been proven. So FTX, because he had this effective altruism or whatever, we're going to make a lot of money so we can give it away. I guess steal a lot of money so they can give it away. But he created this fund to help Ukraine, and they gave them a lot of money. I don't know the exact amount, but it was well into the millions that they gave to Ukraine. But Ukraine took the money and bought the FTX token. What do you do with the FTX token? Well, you can launder it through FTX because they're not, part of the, DTCC or any other responsible organization, clearance organization, and it went to the Democratic Party. Ukraine has been a money laundering machine for the Democratic Party since day one. Through the 90s and the 2000s, whether it was Hillary or Biden. Now, basically they helped to preserve the Senate, partly with a lot of money that went into races like Nevada and Arizona that were close races. I don't want to get into the politics, but that money came from Ukraine. How could you spend 5 minutes with Bankman-Fried and not come to the conclusion that he's a flaky, nerdy, nervous? We study body language. I mean, I get a lot, like when Powell's giving a speech, I don't just read the transcript, I watch it live on TV because the body language, you can tell when people are lying. The camera doesn't lie. When you're on TV, we kind of are right now, people actually, they don't listen to that much of what you say. They kind of listen. They look at you and they look at your face and they say, is this guy honest? Does he know what he's talking about? Is he a straight shooter? Or his eyes going back and forth, is he wiggling in his chair? Those are all tells. And they form a judgment about you and they believe you or not. But you couldn't spend 5 minutes with Bankman-Fried without coming to the conclusion that he's, he wouldn't, I've seen 40-page due diligence questionnaires. I've been, raised money for hedge funds, been on the other side of that. This birth certificate, and everything else, accounting firm, I want to talk to your lawyers, I want to talk to your accountants, I want to see work papers, I want to talk to your banker, I want your banker, that's how you do due diligence. He wouldn't have passed any of those tests, which means they were never done, right? Because he didn't have any of that.